channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry, and for this episode, I will be bringing you my top 15 picks for the best evening glam photos at Miss Universe Philippines 2025. Please make sure to stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant picks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing well. As promised, I am here with another episode for you guys. We talked about some of our favorites from the last sesh we had last Sunday, but there aren't any visuals, so here we are. I have provided you with photos that weren't even picked, so you might even change your mind. Okay, so before I start my list, I just want to share with you what exactly it is that I'm looking for. I'm definitely looking for impact. I'm looking for a concept that blew my mind. So a lot of these gowns are gowns that we've seen before, either worn by a beauty queen at a photo shoot or maybe at an event. So gown design really is secondary. It's really up to the team to revamp the styling or maybe present the gown and the girl in a different light. So these are the things that I'm really looking for. And I'm looking for joy. I'm looking for something different. I'm also looking for something, just a little unique or maybe something a little calmer, if you will, or maybe a little simpler. But we'll see. So I will be starting off my list with my number 15 spot. And let me tell you, I'm really happy that she's my opening salvo for this video, only because every time you ask me about her, I always have something to say and it's not always positive. So for this number 15 spot, I will be giving this finally to Miss Universe Philippines Oriental Mindoro, Rachel Hoco. I'm so happy to have her on my list because I feel that this is her most minimalist look to date. So the gown design was by Pam O'Keefe, and it's basically just a tube top and a pencil skirt, a maxi pencil skirt that's just so modern, it's so clean, it's so streamlined. She accessorized with long black sheer gloves, which I think also kind of worked. So for me, this was a fresh break from the over styling and the over embellishment that this girl has been sporting from day one. Like, even if they changed her makeup and maybe simplify her clothes, they just couldn't help it with the contact lenses. So at least for this particular photo, she looked her absolute best. And a tip, if the team is watching out for this, keep up the good work with the makeup. This is the type of makeup I would love to see her wear more. My number 14 spot is someone we hardly talk about. I think we should start talking about her. She is, of course, the representative of my city, Miss Universe Philippines Quezon City, Zoe Honeyman. Her designer is Mara Chua. You can see by the snatched waist. I absolutely love this photo because it showcases that beautiful face. There's movement in the hair. I love that there's a little bit of nostalgia because she was made to wear CJ Opiaza's gown, which was so similar to the color as well as the cut of Jennifer Hawkins from Miss Universe. So there's this nice bronzy tone to the dress. And I absolutely love the shot because it seemed like she was captured mid-movement. And I always like shots that have a bit of movement in them. So yeah, beautiful hair, beautiful makeup, beautiful dress. Welcome to this list, Miss Quezon City. My 13th spot is someone who is making the rounds on social media. This gown that she wore has become rather controversial because of, I don't know, timing. I am talking about Miss Universe Philippines Naga City, Zoe Gabon. No, I think by now you already know, you've already seen the comparison that Zoe shared the same gown as Miss Universe Philippines Benguet. And this was a design by Louis Pangilinan. It's a beautiful gown, actually. It's a white gown and it has a pointy sweetheart neckline that's corseted. And towards the bottom, there are hundreds of silver crystallized fringe. So it has movement. It's really very pretty. Maybe just a little similar to the French gown that we've seen very recently from Zina Ramos at Miss Global. But yes, this gown nevertheless is still a really pretty dress. I just chose Miss Naga over Benguet because I felt like Miss Naga's photo sold the drama. With Miss Benguet, everything worked as well. It's just that I am choosing Bisnaga City because I felt that she was more successful in terms of the styling, like what I mentioned earlier, in terms of selling the drama. I just wish that there were more lights directed towards the actual dress so we could see the dress sparkle even more. My 12th spot is a sentimental favorite of mine, only because I was somewhat involved. I know people are going to splice this again, so let me give you a bit of an explanation. 12th spot goes to Miss Universe Philippines, Lucena City. Her name is Bella de la Cruz. Now, if you notice, the hair and makeup of Bella de la Cruz was pretty similar to what she submitted for the headshot. So I suspect this is also from the same photo shoot because the styling seems to be very similar. And, why not? Why not shoot everything in one day? So this gown, let me tell you, is of course from the magnanimous Leo Almodal. And if you notice, that I mentioned that this is a sentimental favorite of mine because this was the gown we asked Sir Leo Almodal to make for Iona Gibbs at her stint at Miss Intercontinental. I was somehow involved in this gown because the idea, the shape, and the inspiration came from me, and then we specified the design, and then it was Mr. Almodal, of course, who worked his magic with the actual gown. So seeing it worn by someone with a different attack, it's really nice. I mean, when it was shot with Iona, of course, she had all the set and the trappings and everything. But I feel that with the gown worn by Bella de la Cruz, I thought that it simplified the whole gown and the focus was on the gown because the gown itself is magnificent. It's sparkly and it's just so exquisitely made. So, yes. My 11th spot is someone I'm really happy to finally make an appearance on my list because I know I've been pretty vocal in how she has been styled lately. And I am, of course, talking about Miss Universe Philippines Los Baños Rendell Caraig. I am super happy to have her on my list, and I'm super happy that she's wearing a really sparkly gown in silver. I mean, it's bedazzled, but the whole silhouette is just so simple. She looked like the moon goddess. And her dress is, of course, made by Chico Estiva, who we all know has a very distinct signature. So the silver fringe is something that Chico Estiva is also, uh, you know, famous for. So I think that in this whole photo, everything is in their full glory. I love the whole idea because it kind of reminded me of those black and white photos from the golden age of Hollywood from the 1920s to the 1930s when they would have like promotional photos for the stars. So these are like some of the things that came to mind when I saw her photo at Miss Universe Philippines. Number 10 for me is a pleasant surprise because I just really felt the concept. It was directional and it was fun. It seemed like it didn't really take itself seriously. And I'm talking about Miss Universe Philippines Caloocan, Allison E. It's just so nice to see her in this metallic purple dress. It's so gem and the holograms. If you're familiar with that 1980s cartoon Gem and the Holograms, it does have that feel. And I love this photo because the whole disco feel was not just in her metallic dress. It was in the lighting. It was in the whole setup. So I felt that it was directional. I also felt that it was just so cohesive. And then looking at her face, it really seemed like she was in the middle of a performance. And this seems like a show and it seems like a still from a concert. So I really like this. The designer is Mara Chua. She does really amazing work with showcasing the waist. It really did give Allison shape. So this was a successful photo for me. My ninth spot is another one from Laguna. She is, of course, Miss Universe Philippines Laguna, Eloisa Howard. Now, her designer is Jobes Estrella, a Laguna-based designer. And I like this photo because, again, she looks fresh. She looks so mabango. It's just so nice that, whenever she's photographed, her eyes just smile. It sparkles. It seems like, again, I've said this before, her eyes are just so approachable. So even if you put her in a sparkly gown, there's a component to her photo that makes you want to look at it because it's just always so inviting. I will, however, say that even if I like this photo, I felt a little bad because when she released the other photos that were in pic, I felt that there were better photos from that roster. So, yeah, I don't know who's doing all the picking, but this would have figured higher in my list had they chosen a different photo from her own album. So, there. My eighth spot is another one that Tita B and I absolutely adored when it came to the execution, when it came to the concept. So hear me out on this. First of all, welcome to my list, Miss Universe Philippines, Cabanatuan City, Micah Martinez. I absolutely love this photo because although it looked like the lava gown, and I'm sure it has references with the lava and the volcano, I really felt that it wasn't gimmicky at all. I mean, the lava concept has been used by a lot of previous beauty queens, not just in the Philippines but internationally as well, and it's just always so hard because it can end up looking gimmicky. So I like this because there's concept, like even the gray of the background looked ashy. It didn't look like a glossy gray background for, let's say, a magazine cover. It looked perfectly ashy for me. And the contours as well as the make of the actual gown, if you zoom in a little closer, you'll see like the cracks, you'll see ridges, you'll see like patterns where lava would usually flow. I don't know. I just thought that this was magical in the way that it was presented. The concept of the lava gown, maybe not as original, of course, but I thought that it was a nice nod. I thought that it was nicely executed. And even if it was gimmicky, it wasn't tacky. So there. My seventh spot is someone that people have been talking about, people have been noticing. So I'm really happy to, again, have her on my list. I remember having her on my list from the headshots, and she figures again. I am talking about Miss Universe Philippines Davao, and representing also the Filipino Society of Hawaii. She is Angeli Pasco. She does it again. I mean, the quiet confidence is there. So I checked her out. I mean, I wanted to check her out. I was really curious. And then when I checked on her tagged photos, this is a legit model, you guys. This is not someone who dabbles in modeling and then, dabbles casually in pageantry. So when I looked at her materials and her tagged photos, it seemed that she really is a working model, and it shows. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find the name of the designer. I was only able to find the name of her stylist, which is Rage. I don't know his full name, but he goes by this. And I love this photo because her face is so nonchalant. She doesn't have to do anything. All she has to do is just stand in the middle and just allow the dress and the cape to work. And let me tell you, it absolutely worked because by the end of it, she looked like a fighting fish. And it was just so regal to see her, and it was just so elevated. I'm usually not a fan of the cape, but in this case, it looked elevated. It looked like an elegant fighting fish in a fish tank. So nice. So there. My sixth spot, and I'm moving towards the higher places in my list. My sixth spot goes to the beautiful Atisa Manalo of Quezon province. Now, I wondered if her gown is something that I've seen before, but when I checked, the make of the gown is pretty similar, but the gown itself is not. And this is because the gown was made by Valtaguba. And as we all know, Valtaguba has a distinct signature when it comes to patterns, when it comes to beadwork. Now, I absolutely love this photo because there seems to be a contrast between that angelic face and that angelic styling and a more severe and a fiercer gown. I like that it was simple, that they didn't pile on the accessories, and that they just allowed the gown and that face to work. So I only feel like I've seen this gown before, but I haven't. I thought that this was worn by Stacey Gabriel, but when I checked, there's just a little bit of similarity. But what I'm just saying is that Atisa is on stealth mode. She's pretty quiet. She isn't, the brightest flower or the loudest in the bunch. I think that she's just, going at this steady, and I like that she figures in the list, like she's consistent, yes, but she has like allowances to grow. Like she's not acing everything like number one, number one, number one in all of the lists. I like that she goes up and down, because for me, this shows adjustments on her part. So whatever it is that they're doing, I think, again, and I've said this so many times, if you compare her photo from last year and compare her photo this year, it's a lot calmer, it's a lot simpler. It's not as flamboyant as last year, because last year she literally looked like the brightest bird in the jungle. So this time around, there's calm, there's cool, there's that collected vibe coming off of her. Is this the most spectacular out of everyone? Obviously not, because she's in my number six spot. But this is solid enough for me, for her to move forward and for her to give us more pasabog looks towards the end. Now on to my top five list. So top five for me is the beautiful Taylor de Luna of Malay, Aklan. I thought that her whole face was featured perfectly in the photo that they submitted. Her gown was made by Louis Pangilinan. I don't know who picked this for her. I don't know if this was made for her, but it seems like it was made for her, because these are colors that absolutely work for her feature. It illuminated her face even more. And I don't know, I feel like maybe she's someone we could consider for Miss Supranational. I mean, she's already wearing the supranational colors. Next, my fourth spot goes to a fellow Ilongga. She is Karen Picho of Iloilo City. I think that Karen has really gone a long way since her press presentation disaster. Her gown this time was made by Alfie Desamparado, and this is inspired by an egret in the Visayas called Tulabong. And you could really see the inspiration. And it was just so nice because it was executed perfectly. There wasn't anything that was over the top. There wasn't anything that wasn't supposed to be there. It featured the gown, it also featured the girl. And I absolutely love this photo and the other photos that came along with it, because everything had a concept, it was directional, there were movements. And when I say movements, the camera gets to capture several angles of the gown that just works, and it's so editorial, and it's just so nice because when you capture movements and when the gown moves along with it, it feels like, Karen was like moving on clouds. And if you notice, if you zoom a little closer, the corset part, there are linear boning that's making up the corseted part, and when she curves her or arches her back, the corset just moves along. It doesn't bunch up. So for me, in terms of construction, this was an absolute winner. In terms of the overall impact and the final result, this photo was also an absolute winner. My third spot goes to someone who's just really very visual in her presentation. I mean, I gotta give it to her and her team. I'm talking about Miss Universe Philippines Taguig. She is, of course, Katrina Liegado. Now, I don't know if you guys are polarized by the look, because I feel that for a lot of you, the look may seem a little dated. But for me, I think that this was really part of the concept. The designer of the gown is, of course, Mama Rene Salud. And the whole styling with the addition of accessories upon accessories, for me, it worked. Normally, it wouldn't. But for me, it worked because there seems like a peg that they were following. It had a very 90s feel to it, and it's unapologetically 90s, because even the hair had, Michelle McLean feels. It had the feels of, the society ladies who would sometimes make an appearance at fashion shows for the Manila couturiers at, the swanky hotels in Manila. So it really did have that feel. Now, if I am to stretch this a little further, Maybe I could make up a narrative that the whole gold idea could also be, I don't know, maybe a nod to Queen Circuit because I'm looking at the silhouette, I'm looking at the styling. It's really not far from the silhouette and the styling of, society ladies during that era. So yeah, let's see. Now, my number two spot, I'm really happy about this one because this girl is fighting her own competition. I mean, come on, since day one, this girl has not stopped. And if we have dismissed her as someone who could just probably get charm or probably get one of the more minor titles, I don't know with you guys. With the consistency of this particular candidate, it would really make sense for her to go all the way to the top. And I'm talking about Miss Universe Philippines Baguio Gwen Melis Soriano. Now, her gown was made by Michael Miguel, and it had a lot of things going on in the bodice. Like she was an exquisite present ready to be unwrapped. But it's the hair, the makeup, the styling, and how she was made to stand as if she was 9 feet tall. These are the things that really make this photo an absolute success. And when I say that this girl is in a competition on her own, I feel like she's doing this without any competitors, that she's really presenting herself and really playing around to please herself. And for me, this is an amazing strategy because I feel like she doesn't have to pay people to talk about her. This is organic. When people get to notice, it means that they really like the output. And so, congratulations, you made it to my top two spot. Now I am moving on to my number one spot. And again, I'm really very happy because this number one spot for me shows a lot of drama, but also shows a lot of restraint. And this is none other than Miss Universe Philippines Muntinlupa Winwin Marquez. I love this gown by Rao, my friend, Rao Ablasa Uson, of course. I love the idea because, again, there's movement. When you look at her face, she's fierce, she's commanding, but she's not angry. It feels like she's just ready to fight. Red is such a powerful color. I wish that a lot of other girls wore red, but I suppose it was also strategic on her part because she stuck with the red and it's just giving us high impact. For me, it's giving power, but it's also giving power that isn't so pronounced. So, like what I said earlier, there's restraint in that whole thing. And I like this because it really announces to everyone I'm competitive, but I'm also a madam, if this makes sense to you. So, there you have it, folks. These